Golf GTI Clubsport and Honda Civic Type R are two of the best hot hatches money can buy. But what would they like to live with day in and day out?
Well, we've been doing exactly that because both of these cars are currently on Car Magazine's long-term test fleet.
We've driven them on great roads, driven them on track and put them up against rivals. But crucially, we've been living with them like actual owners might.
So the really big question then, which is the one we'd put our hard-earned cash into? Which offers the best blend of day-to-day usability and hot hatch fun? Well, it's time to find out, starting with this car, the VW Golf GTI Clubsport.
For the last 50 years, the Golf GTI has been arguably the definitive daily hot hatch, but the GTI Clubsport we're running adds a little more spice to the mix. Power increases more than 10% to 296 brake horsepower, you get a sharper chassis, bigger brakes, a few small visual tweaks and some very touchy-feely upholstery, and all for a little over £2,000 more than a standard GTI. So we want to dig into how good it is to drive on our favourite roads and if it sacrifices some of that GTI drivability in the process. So, welcome to the Clubsport.
Thanks very much. So, Clubsport. I'm thinking Porsche, I'm thinking stripped out, track ready. Am I on the right lines?
Not quite. I mean,
Okay.
when it started, the Clubsport S almost 10 years ago didn't have any rear seats.
I remember.
They always had a regular Clubsport as well, so it's a bit of a level down. So you haven't got things like wind-up windows and no aircon or deletable aircon in this, but
Shame.
the idea is to give a GTI a bit more attitude, give it more teeth. You know, it's that clever kind of German positioning where they just tempt you up to the next level in little increments.
Okay, so how does that work on this one?
Well, GTI is about 41,000 and
Yep.
this is about 2,300 more, so you're into sort of 43,000.
But we're still way under the 52,000 of the Honda, aren't we?
Exactly, yeah, and once you've thrown all the toys at this car, it's still £4,500 less than the Honda, so...
And power-wise, we've got 324 in the Honda. What have we got here?
This is 296, so
Yeah.
I mean this is the EA 888 engine, so it's been knocking around for 3 years. It feels like engines like this have been producing about 300 brake horsepower forever, and it's the same as the Clubsport last time. It's plenty, it's a decent amount of power. You've also got things like versus GTI, you've got more aggressive chassis tune.
Yeah.
They've both got mechanical locking diffs, electronically controlled. Apparently the Clubsport has got a more aggressive tune
Right.
on it. You get bigger brakes, and also you get like things like the different bumper, different rear wing, and I really like these seats, but you get this material in them as well, this microfleece material, and it's one of those things, and it's £2,300 or so. I think it's kind of a no-brainer for me that
Yeah,
you step
and
up to Clubsport.
So I tested the Civic's predecessor against the Mark 8 Golf GTI when it arrived, just in basic GTI form.
Yeah.
And it might be a bit sacrilegious to say it, but it felt like that base GTI is for people who want to say, I've got a GTI, but they're not really interested in any of the stuff that comes with it.
Yeah.
And it lets them tick that box, but then Clubsport gives you the car that, as you say, a bit more visual drama, a bit more bite by the sound.
I think with this generation, it's a great example of how important that last little bit of fairy dust is for a car.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when you look at it and you look at all the fundamentals, it's not really any different. The power's the same, the engine's the same. It's still a Mark 8 chassis, but whatever they've done, they've just given it that extra communication, that extra feel and connection that I think does kind of percolate through this car and just connects you to it in a more positive way that makes you feel engaged in it even at modest speeds.
And when your speeds are a little less modest, how
Yeah.
have you been getting on with it? So you've driven it on track, and I don't doubt you've spent plenty of time enjoying it on the road too. So how is it when you get a chance to cut loose?
I really like it. I think it strikes a really good balance, this car. So you've got that extra connection. It's firmer than it used to be, I think. And we're in comfort mode now, so I think I've got a bit of a secret weapon here when I can see where I'm going. So mode,
Yeah.
press down here. We're in comfort, go to sport, and you feel with sport, immediately it gets
For sure.
quite tense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And let's just see how we get
really
on.
tense.
So that's not really suitable for the road, I don't think. So.
Yeah, it's a big old shift, isn't it?
It's a big shift. Whereas, if we go back to that, special mode there, now this is the Nürburgring mode. It's called, slightly confusing, it's called special.
That's probably a licensing issue, I'm sure.
Exactly, yeah. That is a real sweet spot, I think, for a British B road. So you've got more kind of attitude than comfort. Certainly when I've got the family in it, you can feel it is tenser. So I tend to knock it back to comfort when I got particularly
It's pretty
people.
good though. It's still breathing with it.
It's still breathing. It's still moving. And everything else kind of steps up. So you've got the throttle response. You've got punchier gear shifts, and it's just, if we just thread it through here, you've got that mechanical diff. It's just quite a connected car. It flows really well.
Brake pedal in the Civic's sort of got a bit more fidelity to it as well, hasn't it? I mean, this is by no means mushy, but I definitely, back to back, there's more feel through that middle pedal.
Yes. Also, we get that extra kind of aggression in the diff tune with here, so it's a bit harder on these roads, but if I get on it there, it just tucks in quite clean, nicely.
Pretty clean.
And the balance here, if we just give it a... You feel it's starting to move there.
Yeah. Super progressive though, isn't it? You know exactly where you stand.
You can feel it starting, that was being caught a little bit by the traction control, so you can turn it in, lift off, and it's going to work with you. It's not just going to be dead. Yeah. And I think that's what this car does really nicely.
So neither of us massive fans of the Honda engine, pretty happy with its output, but doesn't have much character, and there's a rev hang, the trace of lag in it. Yeah. You seem to be a bigger fan of the VW motor.
Generally, a V8 engine is fantastic. I think 4-cylinder is one of those that you can go one of two ways, and some of them can really flat and boring, and I think that the Honda is quite laggy, it's not very charismatic. But 4-cylinders also can have that energy and engaging, and I think the VW is one of those. So if we slow down to third gear and 2000 RPM, so if I accelerate now, that's more, there's still some lag, wasn't it? But it picked up nicely. Yeah.
By 3 it was off and running, wasn't it?
Yeah. And I think with that Akrapovic as well, that just adds a little bit of that fruitiness as well. Honda's got more aggression and more, when it really steps up, it feels like the more sporting car. Yeah. But I think what I like about this is you get the drive out of the corner with the diff. It's not scrabbling away. You know, it's not massively extrovert, but it's quite a languid balance where if you pin it on the nose, it will start to rotate. And again, it's not leery. It's just giving you those options to move the car around in a way that, you know, car enthusiasts like that. We like to have that kind of malleability to a balance, and that is good with this car.
So you've been in this car, what, 3,000-4,000 miles, day-to-day use?
Yeah.
How have you been getting on when it's not, you know, all sunshine and B roads?
I think that's where this car really steps up, isn't it? It has stepped up a level from where the Golf was, in that kind of slightly anodyne, slightly numb feel for the last generation GTI. But it's still retained all that usability, and that's kind of the holy grail, isn't it? That you've got that excitement, but when you just go down the motorway, you just put the family in it or whatever, it does everything. So I think it's a really effortless, easy car, and that's what you want from the GTI. I think that's probably what it lost last time. So yeah, all around absolutely effortless to live with. I've been sometimes just driving it around quite normally, other times going out for a bit of a blast. It's been averaging 32.5, I think, so the official is 37, so it's a decent way off that, but for me, 32 is perfectly acceptable.
Not bad.
Yeah. I think in terms of daily driving, the other thing is the suspension. I think generally it's pretty compliant. I remember we did a test not long ago on car where it absolutely aced a road that a lot of other hot hatches struggled with. So it is good. I think whatever they've done to the damping and the spring rates, I think sometimes the rear compression damping can feel, you know, when you're just going around town, it can feel a little bit unyielding in that it checks itself quite quickly, and I feel more aware of it when I've got passengers in the back, just because I'm conscious of their comfort, but it's a very small black mark. And then the other thing to mention, I think, is the Akrapovic exhaust, because it does give it that extra attitude, but at the same time it's not overbearing or drony on the motorway. I think before we go and drive the Civic, one thing we really need to talk about is this infotainment, actually.
For sure.
That was the big kind of bugbear, wasn't it, last time around, Mark 8?
Sure was, and yeah, jumping into this from the Honda, I can't quite get over the size of that screen.
12.9 inches of infotainment there. So, I mean, it just goes to show it's all new as well. So it's architecture, hardware, software, everything is new. It just goes to show, doesn't it, how wrong it was last time. It's a complete reinvention, basically. Almost complete, I would say.
Yeah,
A couple
sure
of caveats.
looks that way.
Yeah, I think it's pretty easy to navigate. Little things like, you've got the nav there, media, phone, all the kind of key things are pretty easy to kind of navigate through. So I don't know if you remember last time, the ESC was buried in a sub-menu far away under brakes. Yes, obviously not everyone's turning off ESC, but it was kind of indicative of the chaos of that system.
Yeah.
Now we've got a car graphic up here, so that's always there. You tap that, ESC system.
There it is.
ESC Sport, or whatever you want to do with it.
Yeah.
Setup on going off now, but you get the point. We can turn that off. You can just navigate this system far better.
It's way more intuitive, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Mode, you've got the shortcut button there. We've still got, remember these climate control buttons?
I saw those.
So they're slightly different. so before it was, they didn't illuminate at night, which was absolute chaos.
That's right,
basically.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
they're still touchy, slidey things, but I think they work a lot better. They're more intuitive. And also the steering wheel now, these were capacitive buttons here. So they're physical buttons now. And part of the problem before, if you're driving quickly, this heated steering wheel button here, when it was capacitive, I'd trigger it, stick it on, and then the steering wheel would get roasting hot. Like I thought I was like,
just what you need.
Like almost because I was gripping it so hard because I was driving, and then I realised I just turned it on. So.
Right. And what about the sort of basic driving position? Because the Honda absolutely nails that, doesn't it? For me, in terms of wheel and seat relationship and how low you can take the seat.
I think this is great. I love these seats. We've got this touchy-feely material, which I mentioned before, but also you sit nice and low. They're really comfortable. They've got that kind of squish as you sit into them. These bolsters are absolutely gorgeous. I think they hold you, they're sort of really secure without being too restrictive. Driving position for me is really, really good. I feel really kind of at home in this car and kind of at the centre of it and exactly where I want to be. So
could maybe go a smidge lower, couldn't it? I think this Civic Type R is a little bit lower than the one before. Probably about right, but yeah, this is good. This is really good.
You could drop it a little bit lower, but overall, I think I'm happy. It's a lovely cabin. Infotainment is much improved. So I don't like this little gear lever here. That's one of the things I don't like particularly, but
it's yourself a manual.
Yeah, exactly, but they don't do the manual, so you can't. But yeah, really nice cabin, really nice seats, better infotainment. Go and drive the Civic?
Let's go drive the Civic.
I think we should.
This, the FL5 Honda Civic Type R, arrived in 2022 as the ultimate evolution of a bloodline that's given us some of the greatest front-wheel drive performance cars ever built. And it's always been a revier, wilder alternative to the more rounded VW Golf GTI. Given much of the hardware was carried over from the previous generation FK8 car, power was up a touch to 324 brake horsepower, but there was radically less polarising design inside and out, and a whole host of detail upgrades to make this the most agile, communicative and rewarding Civic Type R yet. And that really is saying something. And black armbands on for this one, we now know that this will be the last Civic Type R. And what a way to go. A precision-engineered love letter to the hot hatch as we know and love it. A front-wheel drive, manual performance car with the speed and purity of purpose of a true sports car.
Right, Civic Type R.
So welcome, Ben, to the Honda Civic Type R.
The embrace of these lovely red seats.
Oh, aren't they lovely? So this is the 6th generation Honda Civic Type R.
Right.
Came out in 2022. So this is 51,900 as it currently sits on sale. The previous generation car, when I tested it in 2020, it was about 34 grand. It went up a little bit from there.
It's not just inflation, is it?
Well, this is it. On the launch, we asked Honda what's going on, and they were like, yeah, making cars has got more expensive. And you were thinking, it definitely has, but that's a big, big increase. Then there was the point about, I think they knew even then that this is going to be the last Honda Civic Type R. I think there was an element of, let's just make it as good as it can possibly be. So let's put everything into it to give it those little marginal gains that we want to give it. But there was also the issue, I think, of fleet CO2 emissions, and they couldn't afford, basically, with the CO2 this thing puts out, to sell too many Civic Type Rs. Right. So if you can't sell too many of them,
crank up the price, limit supply.
Yeah, hopefully you push up demand and make it a sort of really special car. And then the story of the car itself is obviously much of the same hardware but upgraded, and there's a lot of detail work. So camber stiffness is up, the body shell itself is stiffer. Yeah. The steering rack stiffness went way up as well, and it was all these little detail changes just to make it an even sharper, more poised drive.
So you've been on the press launch, you've driven it on track, you've driven it in sodden wet conditions, you've driven it on great dry roads like this. What do you make of it? Do you like it?
I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. I think there's almost a weird retro nostalgia feel about it, which sounds like a very odd thing to say about a car that's on sale new in 2025, but
51 grand, yeah.
For 51 grand. But when when you jump from the Golf into this does feel a generation behind in terms of the boring stuff like infotainment and things like that.
Yeah.
But there's an old schoolness to all of its sort of main driving controls, which I just find absolutely gorgeous. I mean, the Brembo brake setup is just so full of feel. The steering is absolutely beautiful. I mean, the Golf is good. It's definitely better than the one before, but it's quite a sort of
set up by the man who did the Bugatti. Taken bits from the Bugatti apparently.
Okay, this just has so much more feel to it. It's such a lovely steering rack to work with. The brakes are great. The gearbox, I mean, we've said it before, but we'll say it again. It's got to be one of the best manual gearboxes currently on sale.
It's Porsche and it's Honda, isn't it? For manual.
Is.
I mean, I
was going to say, when I was trying to think about what you compare it with, the only other transmission I can think to compare it with is the 6-speed and the 911 ST, and that's £250,000 car if you could get hold of one. And
why can no one do it so well?
I don't know.
I mean, they've been doing it for years. Like, just do it like that.
I don't know. And yet, so the Honda's got all of that in terms of driving precision and the reward you get from that. It's up there with a blue blood sports car, but it's in the body of a hatchback. And for me, that is kind of like the juice with a good hot hatch, isn't it? It's a car that you can enjoy when you get the chance, like this, but it's a car that you can put the family in and have a big boot the rest of the time. And I really, really love that Honda have stuck with that format.
What do you think of the ride on this car? This is the problem, isn't it, with this car, I think, in some regards.
So adaptive dampers should mean you've got it all. You've got the sports setup when you need it, the track setup even when you need it, but you've got comfort when you need it too. But I think you're right. I think it's pretty marginal. So the comfort is the only one really that's usable on B road. So that's the one you default to, and
it feels nice and elastic now.
Yeah, it does. And it can quite a lot of the time. It's definitely usable. I've been in this car now, 5,000 miles? I've done sort of 500-600 mile weekends. It's totally usable. It's just a little bit of a shame that they didn't go more comfort with comfort and then use the fact that they've got the adjustment to give you the sporty stuff at the other end of the spectrum. So, and the other issue is the road noise off the tyres, which has long been a sort of Civic Type R bugbear. And that's, again, it's really road sensitive.
You've got plenty of space in the back there, haven't you? It's the size of this car, that's one advantage you get. You get a huge boot, lots of space in the back. Have you done long runs with family in it and so on?
Done that. I've had people in the back on a pretty regular basis, and then two of us went up to Scotland for like 4 or 5 days with luggage in the back, and it's I mean, it's a big body shell. It's the 11th generation Civic body shell, a car basically designed for America. So
it's very US, doesn't it?
It's sort of exactly. It's got that kind of slight sedan silhouette, and it definitely feels like a bigger car, but the benefit of that is, as you say, plenty of space. So definitely usable from that point of view. I'm the one who's been fortunate enough to be living with this thing for 6 months, 4,000 or 5,000 miles, but you spent plenty of time behind the wheel of this Civic Type R as well. What's your verdict on the driving dynamics?
I drove this car on the hot hatch test for car, and it was sopping wet again at Croft, and it just didn't really work in the wet. I know you're going to think I'm going to be lead-footed or whatever, but it just wasn't hooking up properly. So I found that quite frustrating. When it dried out, it was really good, but it was still very much a front-driven car where you loaded it up into the turn. I felt like I was having to be patient a lot. I did find that quite frustrating. The tactility of this car, I think steering, like you said, gear shift, pedals, all that's fantastic. Engine's not very charismatic, is it? No, and I think we've mentioned this a few times before in car reviews of it. In a way, it's just a tool to do a job, isn't it? It's 324 horsepower, it revs to 7,000, and it hauls it from corner to corner. But I think when you couple it with the price increase, and you get to within a couple of grand of admittedly a 4-cylinder turbocharged Cayman, but still a Cayman, and a pretty characterful engine, even if it's obviously not as
characterful as a naturally aspirated flat six. That, I think when you couple it with the price increase, the fact the engine is kind of quite soulless and doesn't sound particularly inspiring. You know, a lot of this racket is speaker generated. Thank God the gearbox is gorgeous, I guess, because that does an awful lot of work.
It's laggy as well, isn't it? I think it takes quite. You've got a lot of engines now, turbo engines, that really wake up and get on with it, and this just has a bit of a delay. Like when you're coming out of junctions, I think it just needs to get on with it a little bit more, personally.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of rev hang as well, which is odd given the flywheel's lighter, but you just got to think of it as that, as a tool to get you from corner to corner.
So we've talked about how great this car is to drive, but living with it, those little annoying things come out, don't they? So is there anything with this car that you've lived with it and realised, I wish they'd done that better?
The weird, I mean, Honda were very proud of it on launch, but the very strange sort of floppy fabric parcel shelf.
Right.
Can I get rid of that? Can I have a proper parcel shelf? Yeah. It's a double whammy. You can't put anything on it. So when you've packed the boot and you just want to lay, I don't know, a suit.
There's originals.
A suit, some more clothes, a dress or something on there that you don't want to get crumpled up.
Yeah.
It just kind of flops because it's just a fabric under tension.
What kind of dress?
Well, it depends whether it's winter or summer or... I mean, that's a massive question, Ben. But the other thing is, I think it contributes to the road noise because you've got that big old box of a boot amplifying the tyre noise coming out of the rear wheel wells, and then there's no lid on it. So I think I mean, that's just my pet theory, but it feels like if it had a proper parcel shelf, it might be a little bit quieter as well. So yeah, if I could change one thing, Honda, it would be a proper parcel shelf.
Right, we need to deliver that verdict, don't we? But before we get out of the car, I think we have to talk about this interior, because this is a big step on, isn't it, from what we had before?
It's a massive step on. The shift from the FK8 to the FL5, this car, exterior design is obviously night and day different. So much more refined and sophisticated and socially acceptable, for want of a better term. So certainly less polarising, and it's exactly the same in here. And I love what they've done with the dashboard. It's like a, I don't know, it sort of calls to mind like a 70s supercar or something, with this really strong horizontal in the mesh and stuff. It's just all really nice and simple, I think, as well.
It just feels so driver focused as well, doesn't it? It's quite different to the Golf, and it really feels, it communicates that this car is about driving.
Absolutely, yeah, exactly. And we've got obviously an infotainment system, but certainly compared to the Golf system, it's a pretty basic
tiny
setup, and it feels a little bit last gen in lots of ways, certainly next to the Golf, and that permeates through the cabin. You've got like USB rather than USB-C, you've got a really low res reversing camera, and you've got this very, very small touchscreen. But you know what? In this car, in a Type R, it sort of feels appropriate, weirdly, because what are you doing worrying about this when you've got this?
So, and you've got your shortcuts there, haven't you? We know where to go for navigation, phone, radio, your Bluetooth. I mean, it's all, it seems pretty sort of intuitive to me.
For sure, yeah, and that's how it's proved over the last, whatever, 4,000 or 5,000 miles. So, and then you've got a really nice mix of the touchscreen, the digital and the physical. So we've got actual climate control knobs, Ben, for a hotter cabin and a cooler cabin.
They feel nice as well, don't they? Look at that, that's ASMR.
That could be the future.
Yeah, definitely.
Could be the future.
And I think even if you were driving, you know, you're on track driving, absolutely flat out, you're like, I'm getting a bit toasty here. You just reach over.
The fact you don't have to look down is golden.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Same with the infotainment. So yeah, physical home button, physical back button, volume knob. It's all good. And then the real sort of juice is obviously the driving position and the setup of everything that matters. So yeah, pedal weights, gear lever, the seat is, you know, nice and low. They're great seats. They're absolutely awesome.
They're both excellent seats, aren't they? Actually, I can't decide which one I prefer, but I really like these. I think that
no, for sure. And what surprised me about these is you drop into them and they feel good, but you think, oh, hang on a minute, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours time, I might be a bit bored of these, might be a bit tight. But no, they don't. I think it's a really strong interior, loads of space in the back, massive boot. It's a pretty rounded package for a Type R.
Much more tactile than the Golf as well, isn't it? The Alcantara wheel and versus that terrible little gear shifter, drive-by-wire shifter that you got in the Golf. This is really tactile as well from the driving experience, but also the things that you're touching and feeling in the cabin.
Yeah, and it's got, I think, a sense of occasion to it for that reason. You know, like you say, grabbing that lever, sitting in these seats, it feels like you're about to drive something pretty special, which you are. Yeah.
Right, we need to stop messing around and deliver that verdict. So we've driven these cars for thousands of miles between us. We've run them back to back today. You've driven my Golf, I've been in your Civic. What is that verdict? Which is the car that we would buy with our own cash?
The verdict is really difficult, I'll say that much. But I think when you consider everything in the round and think about the day-to-day usability, pains me to say it, but it's got to be the Golf, hasn't it? It's got to be the Golf. I do think so, yeah. I remember driving Mark 8 base GTI and thinking, yeah, just being really underwhelmed. It had its obvious infotainment issues, but it just didn't have any of that GTI spirit as well that we've come to know and love.
Yeah, it's a bit flat, wasn't it? Yeah.
It was really flat, and Clubsport has really addressed loads of those problems without really adding too much money. You know, we're still, with all of the tasty options on this car, a considerable chunk cheaper than the Honda. So
almost £5,000, isn't it? Yeah,
it's £5,000.
Big options.
I mean, when it comes to Honda, my heart's sort of breaking twice over. Really, it's breaking that we're going to lose this car in Europe at the end of this year, and it's breaking that it's not going to win this test. But ultimately, it's if you want to go for it, and if you want to go for it, don't let us stop you. Yeah. It is a absolutely fabulous driving tool.
Yeah, but it is the sharper driving tool, isn't it? Absolutely.
For sure. Yeah, and it's a kind of level of. It feels like a level of engineering care and driver involvement that is just, I know £52,000 is a lot of money, but at that price point, normally you're spending way more. So in a weird kind of way, it's a bargain, but day to day, it is a little bit more compromised compared to the Golf. So I think the Clubsport wins.
Our verdict, Golf GTI Clubsport for the win.
That's our verdict, but what do you think? Let us know in the comments down below, and hit subscribe so you don't miss new videos from Car Magazine.